From a lottery jackpot to a lifetime jackpot, twin sisters in Sacramento, Ruby and Ruth, turned 100, and ABC 10 was there to catch the celebration. Family, friends, and their church community gathered to honor the milestone with food, flowers, and of course, cake and ice cream. The sisters credit their long life to faith, healthy habits, and a positive attitude. Their family says they've been side by side through it all, a true testament to love, longevity, and togetherness.
They love double mint gum. They the double mint twins. They double mint spearmint gum. And they also love the Cocos, the little dinosaur Cocos. Them are their favorites.
So that's their secret?
That's their secret. Then not only that, they're very loving, always been. Wow. They always had peaceful hearts.
Peaceful hearts, I love that. And the double mint gum, fresh breath, a testament to long life. Happy 100th to Ruby and Ruth. A recipe, sweet recipe for a century together. Matt, how about that?
Yeah, they should have both won the Powerball, to be honest. They should have split. Exactly. They deserved it.
Yes, exactly. Lifetime lottery and the jackpot, right?
Now to that video you truly have to see to believe, and there it is. It's been making the rounds on social media for a few days now. This is what a lot of drivers along Interstate 40 witnessed.
An inmate sticking his head out of a broken window in a DOC van. He appears to be pleading with other drivers as they pass by, and News 4's John Hayes spoke with people who saw it and the Department of Corrections about what happened. John.
Well, Jolene and Kevin, everyone I talked to today who recorded multiple angles of this happening say they originally thought it was some kind of joke. A DOC spokesperson now tells me it's not.
You aren't imagining things.
We thought it was a joke at first.
Trust us, the Martin sisters both say they wish this sight during a Tuesday drive on I-40 near the Skydance Bridge in downtown OKC was a joke.
You're driving, you're trying to pay attention to what you're doing, but you're kind of like, what is this guy doing?
Alexis Martin says she was driving the car, her sister Tiggin in the passenger seat, when they saw this man, we've confirmed is a state inmate, hanging out the back window of a van. Tiggin says she knew she had to start recording.
Nobody's gonna believe me.
You can see the man is clearly handcuffed. The shirt of his uniform is wrapped around his hands, of which he uses to seemingly plead with drivers out of a van's broken window. So many thoughts, the sisters say, were racing through their heads as cars flew by.
I didn't want to run him over.
Either he's gonna jump out, or if we get too close, he's gonna jump into the vehicle.
A Department of Corrections spokesperson told me in a statement the inmate damaged the van during the drive and, quote, our officers immediately recognized the situation, exited the highway, and called for additional law enforcement support. DOC won't share his name with us, but say he made it where he was supposed to be without any other incidents. Alexis says she's surprised the state agency didn't say something sooner.
There was nothing on it, and I was like, that's crazy.
Both sisters say they want something to be done to make sure nothing like this can happen again.
The fact that the window was that easy to break is kind of like, you gotta see it coming.
You should have had him in something a little more safe for him and the person that's driving and the people around us.
It's important to note the Martin sisters say they only noticed all of this happening for just a few minutes before the van pulled off the highway. Other drivers we spoke with who say they also witnessed this backed that up.
Traumatized by armed men during a bold robbery in broad daylight in Woodland Hills on Labor Day.
The terrifying encounter was all caught on camera. KTLA's Kimberly Chang spoke with the victims, and she joins us live from Woodland Hills with their story. Kimberly.
Hi, police are looking for 3 suspects who robbed 2 mobile car washers while they were working at a home here in Woodland Hills. As you mentioned, it was all captured on camera. I did speak with one of the victims who told me that the suspects got away with something irreplaceable.
We were cleaning a car, and I mean, nothing was out of the ordinary around. We were just cleaning the car, and then when I went into vacuum, about like a couple seconds after I opened the back door to vacuum, I felt a gun press up to my back.
This is video of a robbery in progress right in the driveway of a home in a neighborhood south of Ventura Boulevard in Woodland Hills. The 2 victims are mobile car detailers. We spoke with one of them, a 20-year-old who asked not to be identified.
When I slowly turned around, I noticed that there was 2 3 masked men behind me with guns, telling me to empty my pockets.
It happened right in the middle of the day, around 11 a.m. The suspects took their belongings, including a watch, which the victim says didn't have much monetary value, but was irreplaceable to him.
They did take my dad's watch, so very upset about that, though. That was going to be a little family heirloom, you know? I remained calm for the situation, and once they left, we kind of just stood there for a second, and we're just kind of in awe that this happened, and then the survival instincts kicked in, run inside, lock the doors, call the police.
The homeowner, who also doesn't want to be identified, was inside at the time.
Honestly, I was delusional. I thought something like this would never happen in Woodland Hills, not during a broad daylight. I really feel bad that in my driveway something like this happened to them. It was a bit traumatizing for all of us.
It's believed the getaway car was a blue or gray sedan. Neighbors say they're looking out for each other.
We all have, if not 10 to 15 cameras on all our houses.
Despite the added layers of protection and the fact that overall crime rates in the city are down, crime across parts of the valley continue to be a concern.
They try to break into homes, try to break into cars, and it doesn't look like anything is happening to these people because they keep on doing it. I don't think these type of people value life, and these kids that they pulled guns on, if they would have done the wrong move or freaked out, they could have gotten killed or shot.
The city, definitely, they need to hire enough police, fund them enough so we could be safe. I mean, this is getting out of hand.
And as you heard, residents said many people in that neighborhood have cameras, so they are sharing that video with police or communicating with each other, sharing information, and many are now taking part in Neighborhood Watch. Reporting live in Woodland Hills, Kimberly Chang, KTLA 5 News.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Indicted. A new charge for the woman accused of shooting and killing prominent Memphis pastor Ricky Floyd earlier this year. Good evening and thank you for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Stephanie Skurlock. Samantha Marion now faces a second-degree murder charge following her indictment last week. WREG's April Thompson has reaction to the charge and what's next in the case.
Samantha Marion now facing a second-degree murder charge. This indictment showing a grand jury found Marion unlawfully and knowingly killed prominent Memphis pastor Ricky Floyd back in March outside Mama's Bar and Kitchen, where the two apparently got into an argument over religion. Pastor Earl Fisher was a friend of Pastor Floyd's.
So if this is a step in the direction of figuring out what exactly happened and what level of accountability and responsibility certain parties need to adhere to, then I would have to be here for that in the name of Ricky D. Floyd and all of those who love him.
WREG reached out to the Special District Attorney's Office in Nashville, now handling the case. They say Marion will next have another bond hearing on these new charges. Pastor Floyd was known for his community involvement and longtime work, especially in Frazier. But Marion's attorneys say something else happened that night. They sat down with WREG to show us a video recorded by Samantha Marion the night of the shooting. It shows Pastor Floyd approaching her as she tells him to back off.
I'm backing back 3 times now. When I do that, you know, back the up. Back the up.
Samantha Marion's attorneys say the video shows aggression on the part of Pastor Ricky Floyd, and they say Samantha Marion didn't know what he was going to do.
Whatever triggered him, he was upset with Mrs. Marion. He fought through 2 individuals to get to her, and watching him storm from the vehicle and approach her, it was clear that his intentions was definitely not to give her a hug and say, hey, let's work this out. But he had aggression in his heart and in his mind.
WREG reached out to the family of Pastor Floyd, but they declined to comment. Pastor Fisher hopes everyone moves away from the spin that Marion and Floyd knew each other. Her attorneys say they did not, and move toward the facts.
And giving us the concrete nature of who should be held accountable for what happened and to what degree they should be held accountable.
Reporting for your news leader in Memphis, April Thompson, WREG, News Channel 3.
In addition to second-degree murder, Samantha Marion also faces a charge of employing a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony and reckless endangerment with the deadly weapon.
We start tonight at 5 o'clock with these Emotional moments from the courtroom earlier today. It all occurred as an Indianapolis mother lost custody of her daughter, at least temporarily. The decision follows the death of her toddler, who accidentally shot and killed himself using the mom's gun.
Rich Nye had his camera in the courtroom when the judge issued the no contact order, adding to this mother's grief.
Listen to me.
Kiera Bickett.
Listen to me.
A no contact order.
It's temporary. The child is listed as a witness.
Judge Angela Davis told Bickett for now she can have no unsupervised visits with her 9-year-old daughter. Court records say the girl was in the front seat of a car with Bickett and 2-year-old Javarius Bickett when the boy found a gun in his mother's unzipped purse and shot and killed himself. The shooting happened June 19th while they were driving through a CVS parking lot on the north side of Indy. Bickett is charged with neglect of a dependent resulting in death. The prosecution says Bickett's daughter will be called as a witness in the case. The girl's grandmother will care for the child during the no contact order, but it's a complicated situation.
I know you've had the child since June, right? Yes. And is it your mother, the grandmother? Yes. And is that somewhere where you're living? Yes. You live at that house?
Yes, and I also take care of my stepfather. He lives here too.
The judge will allow Bickett to keep working at the house caring for her stepfather, but she cannot be alone with her daughter.
If the child has questions, then you have somebody else talk with the child. But you can't say things like, don't say anything or mom's going to go to jail. Do you understand? You may never. Take the child to school. Pick up the child by yourself. Have any time where there's not another adult.
Melissa Etheridge is the grandmother. She has a tattoo of Javarius on her arm. The family believes the level 1 felony charge against Kiera is too harsh for an accident.
Bickett told the judge she still plans to hire her own attorney and is meeting with one soon. Bickett is due back in court September 22nd when the judge will revisit the terms of the no contact order. At the Marion County Community Justice Campus, Rich Nye, 13 News.
Frisco police say a mother who left her infant in a hot car alone to die tried to cover up what happened. 27-year-old Vanessa Esquivel is charged with murder. Police say she claimed she was driving around with her son all day, but evidence shows she went to work while her baby was left in her SUV. And police say before she took the child to the hospital in distress, she stopped to get some fast food. Fox News' Peyton Yeager obtained an arrest paperwork and warrant. Joining us now with details live in Dallas. Peyton.
Steve, and we have some disturbing new details for you guys tonight. Also, that mother was in a Collin County courtroom today. Earlier this morning, her attorney requested that her bond be lower, but that request was ultimately denied. So the mother, she remains in the Collin County Jail. She's charged with first-degree murder, and her bond remains at $250,000. New details reveal 27-year-old Vanessa Esquivel of Dallas tried to cover up her child's hot car death, and on her way to the emergency room, she even stopped by a McDonald's. On August 16th, investigators say Esquivel brought her 15-month-old son to Medical City Plano. Medical staff there told responding officers the child was already dead upon arrival and had a core temperature of 106 degrees. According to a newly obtained arrest affidavit, Esquivel told police she'd been with her son all day and denied going to work, despite wearing a spa uniform at the hospital. Detectives learned Esquivel's story was a lie. Her employment, Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Frisco, was contacted. Officers determined Esquivel worked from 1:45 p.m. to 4:15 p.m. that day. An August day where temperatures topped out at 95 degrees. During those 2.5 hours, police say the child was left alone inside a Nissan Pathfinder. Surveillance footage also confirmed that timeline, catching Esquivel coming and going from her workplace. Investigators also found disturbing evidence Esquivel ordered food at a North Dallas McDonald's before taking her son to the hospital. On August 17th, detectives obtained a recorded call where Esquivel called the Frisco spa and admitted it was all her fault to a fellow employee, saying she was between a rock and a hard place and couldn't find childcare. Police say Esquivel then asked the employee not to leak the phone conversation. The Collin County Medical Examiner's Office later confirmed that the child died of prolonged heat exposure. We have been reaching out to the mother, the suspect's attorney, for the last week or so since she has been arrested, and so far, no response. Steve?
All right, Peyton Yeager, no good news there. Thank you very much.
Tonight, the FBI is asking for your help in finding a Palm Beach County woman they say was involved in a multi-million-dollar COVID fraud scheme. Take a look. This is Elaine Esco. She's now considered a fugitive. Esco is now accused of stealing $34 million in COVID-19 relief money. CBS 12's Antoinette Delbel joins us live from the federal courthouse in West Palm Beach and has more on what to do if you've seen her. Annie?
Well, Liz, federal agents say Esco has been on the run since June after she didn't show up to court here. Now, she was indicted just months after getting out of jail earlier this year on similar charges for wire fraud. 40-year-old Elaine Esco, seen here smiling with family and friends, is wanted by the FBI. The fugitive, who also went by the alias Annie Palmer, is accused of pocketing COVID relief money totaling $34 million. Federal agents say she and others were part of an elaborate scheme involving wire fraud and money laundering. The indictment claims Esco submitted more than 90 applications for PPP and other COVID relief programs by using false information about employee numbers, payrolls, and revenue over an 18-month span in 2020. And it says Esco was considered the ringleader.
This case involving multiple co-conspirators and 90 or so applications with 34 million, that is a much larger number and a much more complicated and complex kind of allegation than most PPP cases.
Defense lawyer David Taras has handled many cases like this. He says the COVID-19 money was meant to help those hit hard by the pandemic, not to be misused for personal gain.
A lot of people were really hurt. People were dying during COVID, and those people maybe could have used that money to keep their businesses alive. That money wasn't available.
Now, Esco has tattoos on her left wrist, her stomach, her shoulder, her back. Federal agents believe she could be in Jamaica, where she's originally from. If you've seen her or know where she might be, call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. Live in West Palm Beach, Antoinette Delbel, CBS 12.
Breaking news. Police in East Hollywood are investigating a deadly shooting at a McDonald's drive-thru.
A second person was also wounded, and the gunman surrendered to police. KTLA's Jennifer McGraw is live in East Hollywood with the very latest on the investigation. Hi, Jennifer.
Lauren and Omar, good morning. Police are still out here investigating, trying to figure out what exactly transpired that led to a deadly shooting. We know that 2 people were shot. 1 person is now dead. It happened around 4 o'clock this morning here on Romaine and Western. The people were sitting in the drive-thru. Someone tells us that apparently the 2 vehicles somehow hit one another, and that's when people got out. They started arguing. A man pulled a gun, shot a man in the chest, another woman in her leg. A very scary and serious situation. People out here obviously distraught, clearly devastated. We're told both of these individuals were transported. I spoke with a family member. He says it was his sister who was shot and her fiance that was killed. The man was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Now, as far as the suspect, he allegedly called police on himself and stayed out here. The victim's brother tells me he's upset that someone so young had a gun, something that is devastating for their family.
It's definitely going to take a toll on a lot of us, including myself, because he was a Great guy. You know, we partied, we had fun, we did a lot of cool family trips together, and now it's like everything was taken in a flash.
The suspect says that he was acting in self-defense, but he was taken into custody. As for the victim's family, they just want answers. They want to know exactly what happened in this drive-through parking lot. That's the very latest. We're live here in East Hollywood. Jennifer McGraw, KTLA 5 News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingram. This is the Ingram Angle from Washington tonight. As always, thanks for spending time with us inside the violent world of Chicago's gangs.
Are you walking around strapped? You got something?
Come on, man. You know what's
a little
going
baby
on,
on you?
man. This, you know what's going on. You know what's going on.
Okay, so we do got some backup if anything does happen.
Yeah.
Plus, someone should tell Kathy Hochul that this is racist.
Don't stop by the liquor store. Okay? Buy something for the kids. Buy them some food.
And imagine thinking that you're flying to France, but you end up in Africa.
Is this going to Nice?
To Nice, yeah.
I thought you said to Nice. Nice, which is in France.
In my Angle in moments, but first, a few hours ago, I forced myself to watch the full, unedited video of Irina Zartuska's murder. Now, every adult American should see what this monster did to her. To see what's at stake here, what we're talking about when we talk about crime. In moments, I'm going to show you some of it. I have to warn you, it's extremely upsetting and graphic. It's heartbreaking.
The surveillance video shows Irina Zarutska getting on the train by herself in her work uniform, sitting down by herself in a row that just happened to be in front of DeCarlos Brown Jr. Approximately 4 minutes later, Mr. Brown pulled out a pocket knife. You see him on video open that pocket knife, and he stabbed her 3 times in the neck. He then walked off the train with blood dripping from the knife. This is obviously a horrible, horrible situation.
With her throat slit and beginning to bleed out, 23-year-old Irina Zarutska covered her mouth. She grabbed at her throat and looked up in disbelief at the man who had just stabbed her, as if to ask, why? As DeCarlos Brown Jr. casually strolled away, her face fell into her hands. She obviously knew she was about to die. So blood splattered through the aisle, and seconds later, she bows her head, slumps over in a seat, and falls to the train floor, lying in a pool of blood, her own blood. Now, by the time police arrived, Irina was dead. So now the Trump administration is involved, and it's supplementing state charges with a federal one. Career criminal DeCarlos Brown Jr. is facing life in prison or the death penalty. And while we hope this brings justice for Zarutska, we have to make sure we never forget who she was.
She worked at a senior citizen center. She worked at a pizza place. She took care of animals in the neighborhood. She was building her young life. She had recently moved in with her partner. She was probably tired after a long day at work and just trying to get home to her loved ones, but she never made it. In an instant, her life was over, and her mother, her father, her siblings, her brother and sister, and her other family and friends, their lives will never be the same.
Zarutska had fled Ukraine, trying to escape the war and might make a life here that was better than the one she left behind.
After Irina's death, the embassy in Ukraine called and said, "We'll help you bring her home." And her family said no. They said she loved America. We're going to bury her here. So I think we can give her an America to be proud of. As Mr. Barnacle said, something here is broken, and we're here to fix it.
Here with reaction is Russ Ferguson, the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of North Carolina, the man you just saw. Russ, I watched your press conference. You got choked up. I think anyone watching that and thinking about the terror this poor young woman felt was choked up as well. Tell us what you know so far about how this was allowed to happen in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, well, thank you, Laura, and thanks for your attention to it. I'm getting choked up again just listening to your monologue about this terrible, terrible situation. This is a career criminal. He had been released from state custody 14 times. He had served some sentences. I think he had served about 6 years in state prison, but had a very violent past and had done a lot of terrible things before he did this just very random crime on a very, very innocent 23-year-old woman who was working 3 jobs to save up for a car and taking the train home from work. It's just an absolutely tragic situation.
Now, explain the federal nature of this in your view, given the evidence that you've already looked at.
Yeah, I mean, classically, this is a state crime, or it's a stabbing, it's a murder. Those are all state crimes. But this is a unique crime because it happened on a public transit system. And that affects the American way of life. Those are people that are trying to get to work. They are trying to get to college for their classes. They are trying to get to their families. And because of that, Congress was very wise and created a federal statute that said it's a federal crime to commit an act of violence on a mass transportation provider. And that's exactly what we have here. So we've brought that charge. With that charge, we have the ability to supplement the state first-degree murder charge. And so we're seeing this more as a add-on to that charge, a supplement, a backup to that charge to make sure that violent people like this don't see the light of day again.
Have you had, or any of your men, I should say, had the chance to interview witnesses? There were a number of people on that train when this horrific murder took place.
Yes, local police and the FBI have both interviewed witnesses. They've interviewed the defendant. I talked today with the family of the victim just to touch base with them. So that investigation is underway. We filed this by criminal complaint today, but we're still investigating, and the FBI is still investigating. We may see additional charges. We're going to charge whatever the facts will support in this case. So that investigation is ongoing.
Now, Russ, there are reports that Brown was heard on the video saying, "I got that white girl." Do you have confirmation that that, in fact, was said? That obviously brings it to a possible hate crime as well.
I do not have confirmation of that. We are looking at civil rights violations and hate crimes and all of that if we have the evidence to support an additional charge. We have some statements from him. We have some eyewitness statements. We do not have confirmation on any of that yet, but we continue to investigate, and if that turns out to be true, we'll bring the appropriate charge.
We also understand that, and you referenced this, that her parents, obviously heartbroken, did not want her body to be returned to Ukraine, knowing that she came to the United States for a better life. I know her mom speaks almost no English, but tell us about that conversation.
Yeah, I spoke to her mom through a translator today, and I spoke to her uncle. And shortly after her death, the embassy in Ukraine reached out and said, you know, we'll help financially or whatever we need to do to get her body home so you can bury her at home in Ukraine. And the family said no. They said that she came to America, she loved America, and they buried her here in America, which is a true testament to what this country is, but it's also very fragile. And if we allow things like this to happen, that won't be the America we live in anymore. And that's why we're bringing the federal government in on this to try to bring appropriate charges and put bad folks behind bars.
And Russ, I had been thinking about this today as a mom, and I have a 20-year-old daughter, and I have 2 sons, and how people, it's just commonly understood that you can get on a train or a bus, and a lot of people wear earbuds. It's not smart to wear earbuds, and I tell my kids this all the time because you have to be situationally aware, especially, given the crime situation in some cities, although Charlotte's probably one of the better cities in the United States. But what can you tell us about reassuring the American people tonight that the federal government will indeed step in if necessary if safety is simply not achievable in some of these cities under the current regime of laws, judges, prosecutors?
Yeah, I mean, that's the worst part about this case, Laura, and I'm a dad too, and now the whole thought process is different. Can I take my daughter to the park to play on the weekends? Is it like the light rail? Is it not safe? And I totally get that concern. And as a parent, I think it's a completely reasonable concern to have. And where state and locals won't do anything, this administration has been very clear we're going to step in and do something. Now, that doesn't mean in an instant every train in America is safe, or every park is safe, or every city street is safe. This is going to be a long process because, unfortunately, some of our cities have gone down the wrong road. They let people out of jail when they shouldn't be. They've let people get away with crimes, and it is time to turn that boat around, and that's what we're doing with this case. And hopefully it sends a message to people out there that if you think you can commit crimes, commit violent crimes, and go through a state system and be out on the street the next month or the next year, that is not going to be the case in federal court, and we are going to do what we can to bring these cases to the federal system.
Well, I think right now the response from some, not all, but some in the Democrat Party and some in the pundit class is that the Trump administration is, quote, using crime and personal tragedy to deflect from issues with the economy or deflect from Epstein or, one of the other issues that they don't want to talk about. And your response to that?
You cannot make up these crimes. These crimes are happening. And I wish that this crime that happened in Charlotte was made up and I could snap my fingers and say, you're right, and it's gone, and it didn't happen, and it was a distraction. But it's not. It happened. A 23-year-old woman lost her life. And this is the news of the day, and this is important, and this is what's happening. And if you think this is a distraction, then the distraction is the distraction. And you need to focus on what's important because people are dying, and there's enough.
I know the suspect, we understand, has given a statement. Can you tell us anything about that statement?
I have not seen the statement that the suspect gives, and of course that's on an investigative hold for now while we investigate leads from that statement. But he did talk to police after the incident, and we do have a statement from him. That statement did form part of our charges and part of our confidence in bringing these charges. So we do have that will come to light in a trial in this case. But right now we're still using that statement for investigative leads to shore this case up. We charged this case very quickly. We charged it by criminal complaint. And we don't normally do that, but because we don't have the confidence in the state system, we had to do that here. And so it's kind of odd to be at this stage and still be investigating, but that's where we are by necessity.
A lot of Americans see this, and I urge people to watch this, as difficult as it is, because people have to understand what is at stake. When you're going about your daily life, when you think everything is fine, when you're blithely unaware of your surroundings, tragedy or horrific evil can strike, and sometimes you can't prevent it, but sometimes you can. And I think it's important for people to watch this. And she was in disbelief. You could see it in her eyes, Russ. She couldn't believe this had happened. And in her eyes, in my view, you look at her eyes, she knew she was dying. And she couldn't believe it. She was on a bus, as your colleague said, trying to get home from work, or a train, and this is what's happening. And so people watching this going that we need the death penalty in this case. We need the maximum penalty against this individual, and that is the death penalty.
It is such a random crime. It is absolutely terrifying. It could have been anyone. It could have been anyone's daughter. And it's so sad to me that you have to tell your kids not to wear their earbuds on the train, because that is not the society we should live on. You should be able to sit in a row by yourself in peace without being stabbed in the neck.
Russ, thank you, and I'm glad you showed your emotions today, because all of us were feeling what you were feeling, and